Keep it still. And go and go. Yep. We probably need to wait for it to be 6:30 though.
Yeah. I'm counting. You got 30 seconds.
Thanks for bringing that game in, Gopal. That was, I was glad to see that. Vince was talking. It's like Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Tom was covered. He had his own, he wasn't going to tell us what was going on. He poker faced it over there. But I liked the video.
Recording in progress.
Are we done yet?
All right. Welcome, everyone. It's now 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Fenton Township Board meeting on this first day of October, 2024. I please ask everyone to please stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee Gopal, will you lead us, please?
Certainly, sir. Thank you. Lord, we're meeting here tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. We thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These look different. Is it just, they look
No, we switched them. Somebody did. You mean the
not the
flags?
flag, no, the frames here. Is that the same?
Yeah.
Okay. This looks
As always,
different.
thanks,
It looks
Mark.
different to me.
Thanks.
You're welcome,
I appreciate it. Operations Manager Broker, will you please call the roll?
Lorraine.
Present.
Krug is absent. Tucker.
Present.
Gopal. Here. Patrick.
Present.
Kessler.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
6 board members present.
All right. Thanks, Tom. I'd also like to note for the record that Township Attorney was being replaced tonight by Amanda Odette.
Crowd goes wild. You put that in the
Let you know
crowd
she is
goes
also
wild.
running for judge. And our Operations Manager, Tom Broker, are also present this evening. Additionally, the following Township officials are present via Zoom, our Township engineers, Alan and Melissa Lawrence. Tom, will you detail the procedures for those attending tonight's virtual meeting?
Yes, to the members of the public attending tonight's meeting in person or via Zoom, please be advised the meeting is being recorded to be shown on Public Access TV, Spectrum Channel 191. Recorded meetings are also posted on the Fenton Area Community Television YouTube channel. Excuse me. For those attending via Zoom, we ask that you keep your microphone muted until we reach portions of the meeting where the public comment is allowed. For tonight's meeting, there are 2 public hearings, a streetlight special assessment hearing for West Winds and a lake improvement special assessment hearing for Pine Lake. Public comment will be taken during each of these public hearings. All other public comment will be taken near the end of the meeting. Meeting materials are available for download on the Township's website at fentontownship.org.
Thanks, Tom. All right, moving on to the first business in order is the approval of the agenda. Are there any requests to amend tonight's agenda? All right, hearing none, a motion is in order to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Operations Manager Broker, we call the roll.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Krug is absent. Kessler.
Yes.
Gopal.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Tom. All right, the agenda stands approved as presented. The next business order is the meeting minutes. Included in the packet are the meeting minutes from the September 17th special meeting and the September 17th regular meeting. Are there any corrections or requested revisions to these meeting minutes? Hearing none, the meeting minutes stand approved as presented. Moving on to expenditures, are there any questions from the board regarding any of the invoices? All right, no questions. A motion is in order to approve the expenditures totaling $678,241.80 for payment.
Oh, that you've lumped them together. That's the
There's
base. Yeah, there's 2
There-
packs.
yeah.
That's the combined number?
Yeah.
All right, well, then I did have a question about the other. The refund is just on the special assessments?
Yeah, there was, for the Enid project, there were funds left over from what we confirmed in the special assessment roll that were not needed to complete the construction. So those who had paid off are getting a refund check, and
Okay.
those who hadn't paid off are getting their assessment lowered.
All right, so the cost was less and some people had prepaid?
Right.
Okay, all right. Has it been moved yet? I'll move it.
Support.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Operations Manager Broker, will you call the roll?
Krug is absent. Kotrick.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, expenditures stand approved as presented. Moving on to public hearings. Tonight we have West Winds 1 Street Lighting Special Assessment District. This is the hearing on special assessment roll. This is a public hearing on the special assessment roll for West Winds 1 Street Lighting Special Assessment District. I'm sure we've all reviewed the memo in our packets. Operations Manager Broker, will you review?
Yes, this is developer requested special assessment for street lights in Phase 1 of West Winds. It's for 23 lights. We're still waiting on the contracts from consumers, but they are in process, and the developer wants to move as quickly as they can. And we're up against a deadline to get special assessments on the roll, so all parties are good with moving forward without the contracts, but we'll execute those as soon as we get them.
All right, thanks, Tom. All right, the board will now accept public comment on the following: an individual's assessment in relation to the benefit received, the total cost of the project, and the validity of the proceedings to date. I will now open up the meeting for public comment. Is there any written comments in the packet, Tom?
None.
All right. Is there anyone here in person tonight that would like to address the board? And you're only addressing the board on the West Winds 1 Street special lighting. All right. Is there anyone attending via Zoom that would like to address the board?
There's nobody
Since
there.
it's only Melissa, I would say no. I will now close the public hearing. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
100% approval by the owners.
Correct.
Owner. Guess I misspoke.
All right. Resolution number 2024-51. Operations Manager Broker, will you please present the resolution?
Yes, the resolution confirms special assessment roll number 2024-10 as the special assessment roll for the West Winds 1 Street Lighting Special Assessment District. Establishes, excuse me, annual installments in the roll, each due and payable on December 1st, assigns a 1% per month penalty for late payments, directs the clerk to deliver the special assessment roll with warrant attached to the treasurer, directs the treasurer to collect the special assessments, and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
I'll move the resolution.
Support.
All right. Motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Operations Manager Broker, will you please call the roll?
Reed.
Yes.
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Krug is absent. Kotrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Next, under public hearings, this is Pine Lake Improvement Special Assessment District number 3, hearing on the special assessment roll. This is a public hearing on the special assessment roll for Pine Lake Improvement Special Assessment District number 3. We've reviewed everything in our memo packets, or the memo in the packets. Operations Manager Broker, will you review?
Yes, this is a 3-year quote-unquote renewal for the weed control and related services on Pine Lake, based on a proposal that the Lake Association submitted. The per parcel cost in year 1, which includes recovery of township admin costs, is $279.92, and years 2 and 3 are $276.10 per parcel.
All right, thanks, Tom. All right, the board will now accept public comment on the following: an individual's assessment in relation to the benefit received, the total cost of the project, and the validity of the proceedings to date. I will now open up the meeting for public comment. Is there anyone here? Yes, ma'am. If you could just come up to the mic and give us your name. You don't have to give us your address.
Okay. My name is Rhonda Swaninger, and I have a question about the chemicals going into the lake to kill all the weeds and the fungicide and the herbicides and all that. Has there ever been any impact studies about why the lake has gotten so out of balance and it needs this? It is a chemical, it is a poison. So is there any, how did it get this way?
Well, the problem with most of the lakes in the area are the non-native invasive species of weeds that choke out the lake. So that's all they're treating for. They're not treating the native weeds. They're not treating lily pads or cattails or things like that. It's just the invasive species. It's controlled tightly by the state. Eagle has to issue permits. Any of the work done is within the confines of those permits. And we have some lakes that have been doing this for decades and have not had any negative impact, only positive impact is my understanding, as far as any impact on fish or wildlife or anything like that.
So why are there so many warnings issued about these chemicals? How come you can't swim in the lake and you can't drink from the lake and you can't use the lake.
Because it's not water. They're telling
Pardon
you,
me?
this is, the chemicals are not water, so you don't want people ingesting them. But the chemicals themselves, what can be placed, what concentrations, that's all set by the state. Nobody here has any clue as to what works on starry stonewort.
Stonewort.
Or
So the state has
Eurasian
our best
Europhile.
interest at heart. I'm
Well,
to
our
believe
state
that.
has people that understand the chemical questions that you're asking. I've had a couple semesters of chemistry in college, but I wouldn't begin to undertake the question that you're asking. I don't know how or why it works, but I would also easily tell you don't want to drink any water that has that in it.
Well, and usually the warnings are for a day or two.
Right.
Right.
Until
This,
they.
this is the warning.
Yeah.
This is the warnings that we get. Some are longer than others.
Everybody gets them. I
Yeah,
get
we
them on
get
my
'em.
trays.
Yeah, every
Right.
lake around.
So no one's really concerned about any of this. Everybody just thinks this is A-okay and there's no other way, and they don't want to examine how it got this way in the first place. Do you think it could have anything to do with the Roundup and the glyphosate that is sprayed out of the lake onto the lawns, drains back into the lake, out to the lawns, and it's a vicious cycle?
I don't know
Nobody thinks
anybody
that
that
has
sprays-
anything to do with anything?
Nobody sprays Roundup because that kills everything.
Oh, I beg to differ. There is so much.
Fertilizer,
there's so much
fertilizer, I
chemicals.
think he's on, what he's on to is what it is.
Fertilizer,
The phosphorus from the fertilizer goes in.
Fungicide,
Yeah.
all
But
kinds of.
these are all things you can, this is not our idea. This is the Property Owners Association came to us
Right.
to continue something that's been going on for I don't know how many years now. So the meetings there are where you ask the question. They can bring, is this aquatic nuisance or who's
Yeah,
who's
who's
doing
Lake
this?
Pro is doing this.
Lake
one.
Pro's doing this,
Yeah.
they can bring in the contractor and you can say, all right, what are the chemicals? What are the side effects? What are the alternatives? We can't, I don't know, maybe somebody up here does. I have no idea. You know, that's the kind of stuff you have to ask them.
Like, and just to reiterate what John said, and you might have missed it, is that this board doesn't do any of that. All we do is set up the special assessment district. So usually, you know, riparians that live on the lake, I live on Lake Fenton, you know, our association gets together, they do all the research, they find out, you know, what invasive species we have, what chemicals can be used, we hire a company, they look into it, and what the company uses has to be okay with the state, Eagle, and the federal government. So again, we can't answer the science questions, those probably could be answered by the company. So what I would do is talk to your lake association or whoever has
That's next week.
did the research, and then have them, and they'll come right probably to your meeting and explain all this.
Okay, that's
Again,
great.
all we are is a governmental body that says, we'll set up the special assessment district, we'll collect your money, and then we'll play the vendor. That's all we do. We don't know the science behind it, we're not telling you to do it. All we're doing is agreeing to set up the special assessment district. So we're not really scientists or, you know, that has to be done on your end. But I had the same concerns. I mean, like, I think I've been on the board for like 15 years, so the first 2 or 3 years, I'd go home and talk to Sharon, and she was like, no, we're not having that in the lake. So again, it's a process. You have to go out, you have to learn for yourself, and the people that live on the lake will make the determination.
Okay, we'll do that next week at the HOA.
There you go. That's
Okay.
exactly what you do.
Well, and don't,
I had no idea if you sent out a letter explaining what you were going to do or how the improvements, we were up north, so we did not get any
But we're not
additional
doing that.
information.
We
Right.
don't
It's
set
your
it up.
association.
So that's why we came, because we didn't know if you were gonna tell us what you were gonna do, but all you're going to do is approve an assessment.
The
Assessment.
associations come to us and say, hey, we want to do this for Pine Lake. Would you be the fiduciary? And then, you know, that's what the board does.
Okay.
Because we can force people to, we can put it on their tax roll, and that's
Right.
why. We can get the money out of them. That's all we do.
Right.
We never self-initiate anything, even Lake Fenton. The
Right.
Lake Fenton owners come to us and say, hey, we want to treat the lake, we want to set up this special assessment district, and that's what we do.
probably the most important takeaway is what Tom told you right at the beginning. What they're treating is the invasive stuff, not trying
It's
to
still
kill it.
poison.
I'm
you're
just
right.
telling you.
Yeah. Oh, I hear that.
And
I
I'm not trying to
can read
argue
it.
with your opinion. You're
Right.
entitled to your opinion. I don't have any problem with it. I just,
Right.
that's what it's for. It's not, we're not dumping Roundup and getting rid of because I've killed not only the plants but the fish, you know. That's what it's
And
intended to
and
do.
us.
Yeah, well, whether it does, yeah, you might be right.
They're first.
I don't know enough science to argue with you about it.
Okay.
But
Good.
I
Hope
think the
people are
biggest
waking
point.
up.
Okay.
Great, okay, good, good to deal. Thanks.
No, it's actually, it makes me happy that people are involved. I mean, you know, we can talk about
I wish
a million
we-
subjects, and there's two people that sit on both sides, whether it's global warming or whatever it is, but we are putting chemicals into our lake, and it's people like you that can either, start it or stop it, so. All right.
Good deal. Thanks.
Is there anyone else here that has joined us tonight that wants to address the board? All right, hearing none, I'll now close the public hearing. Are there any questions or comments from the board? All right, thanks. Okay, resolution number 2024-52, Operations Manager Broker, will you please present the resolution?
Yes, this resolution confirms special assessment roll number 2024-11 as the special assessment roll for Pine Lake Improvement Special Assessment District number 3. Divides the assessment into 3 annual installments, with the first installment due and payable December 1st, 2024. Assesses a 1% per month penalty on late installments. Directs the clerk to deliver the special assessment roll with warrant attached to the treasurer. Directs the treasurer to collect the special assessments and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
I'll move the resolution.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Operations Manager Broker, will you please call the roll?
Patrick.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Krug is absent. Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to the next business orders, reports. Are there any committee reports to be made to the board this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll go move on to communications. None. Adoption of ordinances, none. All right, unfinished business. This is the Election Commission meeting on 10/15. Operations Manager Broker, you want to explain that?
Yes, just the clerk, I talked to Bob, and the Election Commission will meet prior to the next board meeting at 6 p.m. On October 15th to appoint our inspectors for the November election.
All right, thanks, Tom. All right, moving on to the next business order is new business. Proposed 2024 to 2027 law enforcement service agreement. Presented for the board consideration is a 3-year enforcement service agreement with the Genesee County Sheriff's Department. The proposed agreement maintains our current level of service, which is 5 full-time deputies, and 60% of the cost of a detective. The annual cost is virtually the same as our previous agreement, although the township would be responsible for any salary increases that result from collective bargaining activities during the term of this agreement. Just want to say that the sheriff and I spent some time on this, and I was very pleased that the sheriff's department came back at a contract with a contract virtually the same as what we are paying now. So in 3 years. So
Does our current contract have the kicker if the collective bargaining?
yes,
It has that same thing in it?
Yes.
yes, the language never changed.
It's always there. It's just, it's
Yeah.
not an every year thing.
Have they quantified? I see you noted that it's anticipated. Do we have a guesstimate of what we're talking about?
In my conversations, no. He said more than likely it's coming, and I'm sure it is, but we don't have any control over that.
Have they got a raise in the last 30 years?
I think they've actually decreased.
Do they? Have they?
They're not making what I used to make.
Really? Oh, the new people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of a GM, kind of a,
Do they still have a
Two-tier.
Do they have a pension, or are they on to 401k now?
it's all 401s.
Oh, and 401s. All right. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, a motion is in order to approve the 2024 to 2027 law enforcement service agreement with the Genesee County Sheriff's Department as presented.
I'll move the motion.
Support.
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Operation Manager Broker, will you please call the roll?
Gopel.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Krug is absent. Reed.
Yes.
Kessler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thanks, Tom. Next on our new business is resolution number 2024-53. This is a special assessment bonds reimbursement resolution. Operations Manager Broker, will you review?
Okay, if you had a chance to review the memo, we have 4 special assessment projects that are in various stages of completion. 2 road improvements, Pinnacle Shores, which is actually pretty much done. I think they have a little touch-up to do, a couple of spots they might have to fix. But basically, that one's done. Haddon Street was delayed to 2025 due to delays at the Road Commission. And then we have the 2 water system and special assessments, the landings at Cranes Cove and Glen Devon, where they're connecting to the municipal water system. So in talking to our bond counsel, Steve Manick, Miller Canfield, he recommended that we lump them all into one bond issue, which would save us on our bond issuance costs. They can, even though our special assessments are at different lengths as far as time, they can stagger the maturities within the bond issue to match it. And I would say and a larger bond issue would get more attention as well. So the recommendation is to wait until we have all the numbers, then issue the bonds. In the meantime, we've already written one check to the county for Pinnacle Shores, and we'll have to write the other one probably before the bonds are issued. So what they recommended is this reimbursement resolution, which goes back 60 days from today, prior to today. Anything that we've paid from that date forward, once the bonds are issued, we can pay ourselves back. So we basically just front the money, keep the projects moving. Once the bonds are issued, we take part of the proceeds back to pay ourselves back. And so Steve drafted the resolution for us, and it's a pretty common practice, especially when we're trying to take advantage of combining some projects into one bond issue.
Have there been payments the last 60 days?
We paid the first payment. The first payment to the Road Commission for Pinnacle Shores was made last month.
Okay, so we do need that catch-up line.
Yeah, we're only about 30 days past right now, but we need to get this in place so we set the.
How long is the bond for?
The bond itself?
Yeah.
It'll probably, the final maturity will be 20 years because we're projecting 20-year special assessments on the two water projects.
I don't know, but I know with the rates going down, is there any way to kind of refi these if it's a significant, I don't know.
Well, any bond issue can be, they refer to as refunding.
Yeah.
We've done that with some of our sewer bonds over the years to save on interest rates.
Sure.
So certainly, if we get to a point, what you have to do at that point is weigh the cost of
Understood.
the administrative cost of doing the bond issue
Versus
with the interest savings.
Yes.
And if it makes sense, then yeah, you do it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What has been, I don't track bond rates. They've been moving like the prime rate, or do they not? I think they're independent markets, but I don't know what.
Municipal bonds, I think last week when I looked, the 20 years were around 2.8,
Oh, so they never got to the level.
3, maybe it was over 3. I think they just started creeping down again because of the Fed rate cut.
Well, but if they're at under 3 already,
Oh, yeah, they don't match the Fed rate.
yeah.
They're
No, but I
already
mean,
below.
They're more stable.
when the
Yeah,
interest
they
rates
stay
are
stable.
silly low, I mean, do the bond rates reflect that, or do they always stay?
Yeah, they
Okay.
tend to follow, yeah.
But not point for
Yeah.
point.
No, but I mean, that'd
Right.
be easy math to do, you know, the refi and,
Right.
you know, the cost versus.
Right.
Well,
That's
and our
simple.
our financial
Oh, I can do that.
advisors are looking at that all the time because
Okay.
that's money in their pocket if they can do a refi or refunding for us.
Absolutely.
And so they make money, we save money, and it's a win-win.
Township residents save money.
Save money.
so.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, so just with this, would this delay, I guess, when people end up finding out what the interest rate's going to be?
That's correct. So in
Okay.
the case of Pinnacle Shores, we're not even putting an interest payment on the first installment. We're doing a principal only for this one.
Okay.
And then we'll, so next year we may be, because we're fronting the money, we may still do a 15 months of interest on next year's installment. But the rest of them, I don't believe any of the, well, had and certainly won't. I don't think the other two are gonna hit this year's tax roll anyway because of the timing.
Well, I would think they would prefer to push it out with rates declining.
Right.
The longer you can
Yeah, well,
push it out.
and even if rates don't decline, everyone would prefer the lower bond issuance costs.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because if we end up spending less than what we put in the roll, again, then we're in a position to maybe to adjust everybody's balance down a little bit.
Any other questions, comments? All right, hearing none. Resolution number 2024-53, Operations Manager Broker, will you please present the resolution?
Yes, so the resolution makes the following declarations for the purposes of complying with Treasury regulations pertaining to the issuance of tax-exempt bonds. Number one, that the township expects to reimburse itself for expenditures for the costs of the projects which were paid subsequent to the 60 days prior to the date of this resolution, or which will be paid prior to the issuance of the bonds from the township's general fund or water fund. It'll be general fund. Sets the amount of debt expected to be issued at $2.31 million, sets time limits for the reimbursements to be completed, and repeals any conflicting resolutions.
I'll move the motion.
Support?
All right, motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Do we get interest on our reimbursement? How's that work? Is it just principal? Or do you not know?
Well, I think in the case, right now, the only thing we have is the payment for Pinnacle Shores. And if we backdate the interest rate to the interest calculation for the first installment to when we made the payment, which is 9/1 basically, then we would be, that was where we'd recover the interest.
Okay, I didn't know if we were or
Yeah.
weren't. That was
Yeah.
all I was asking. So.
Yes.
And I didn't care. I just wanted to know the circumstances. Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
All right, the motion is in order.
We have the motion.
Okay,
Oh, motion's been moved and seconded. All right, that's
further.
right. It's under, after, all right, Operations Manager Brooke, will you please call the roll?
Kessler.
Yes.
Krug is absent. Reed.
Yes.
Lorraine.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Tucker.
Yes.
Copel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Tom. All right, next business order is board comment. Is there anyone on the board who has additional comments or concerns?
Go Tigres.
Right.
Yeah. Great game today. All right, next business order is public comment on agenda or non-agenda items. Since there is no one here in attendance or no one that has joined us via Zoom, it is now 6:56 p.m. And if there's nothing else, I say we're adjourned.
Amanda, you